The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a financial planning practice serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fed15 podcast, presented by Serving Those Who Serve. Each week, we discuss the latest news and info the Feds need to know in 15 minutes-ish or less. So whether you are a seasoned federal employee just starting out, we have you covered. So grab your coffee, your energy drink, your green juice, whatever gets you going. Kick back and we will tell you what you need to know but may have missed. We are your host. I'm Dan Sipe, and I am joined by the exceptional, excellent, and exciting Katelyn Murray.
Joined and enjoying. Love it. Always love your company, Dan. Every time you do the intro, I don't know if you have the same feeling when I do the intro, but every time you do the intro, I am filled with a burning desire to get an air horn sound effect. And you're like, welcome to the Fed15. I just want to hear that. Pew, 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 pew. Like it just, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know where that comes from because I feel like that's a basketball thing. And as we all know, I am no sports aficionado.
Well, you got to be careful here, Katelyn, because I have a full board.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I were to decide to run this whole thing through that board, you have no idea how many sound effects buttons I have.
Oh, I would love it.
You know, from the to the wah, wah, wah. Yeah. No.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yes. I resist using that, because, Fed's put up with me enough and my various quirks and idiosyncrasies. You give me buttons to push, I can see that going badly. We could
very, very easily devolve into just like chaotic. I would call it chaotic good, but chaotic nonetheless.
Madness for good is still madness.
Fair.
Fair. I do have an update. A previous episode mentioned my son has been coaching a Paralympic athlete in quest to make the U.S. Paralympic team. And so last weekend, his athlete, Sam, young lady, showed up, showed out, broke the American discus record. Nice. And so took gold in that event, took silver in shot. And the following morning was named to the U.S. Para team. So August 28th through September 6th, because they go after the Olympics, they will be in Paris. So shout out to any of my folks that happen to be in the State Department. If you see a passport application come across your desk with the last name of Sipe and a guy who looks like a Viking, if you could give that a little extra push across the desk so we get it through in time. I know Olympics is one of the reasons why they will expedite. So pretty pleased with sugar on top. If you could do that, I'd be very grateful. So
that's awesome. Yeah, how exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing, the recap of that. I think it's really exciting for Colin and of course for Sam. You had shared with us some of her backstory that it's been a journey for her and she's had highs and lows and she's kept fighting through all of it. And so really excited to support her and have a reason to watch, as a non-sporty person.
Colin came back from there a different person too, because he shared something that was so incredibly insightful, which was, it was just athletes. It wasn't disabled athletes.
Yeah.
He watched it. It was just athletes. Yes, some had prosthesis and things like that. But Colin, having been a high-level athlete himself, it was amazing. All the intensity, all the fire, all the everything was there. And, it's something now that, since it was drawn into my view that I think I'm going to stay with. I think up to and including, I think I'll be doing some volunteering, go through the officials courses and things like that to assist with it because inspirational doesn't begin to cover, my feeling on it. So
That's awesome.
Go US Para.
Yeah.
And the regular Olympians too. Absolutely. But
For sure. For sure. Yeah. So, no, it's kind of cool I've never had that kind of like insider. I've never had, I guess, as few degrees of separation to somebody who is going to an event like that. So it'll be definitely fun to watch with that connection, and cheer her on. We're wishing her all the best.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, Katelyn, there aren't that many intersections between jock world and art world, but I happen to be one of them.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah.
So hey, we got some really interesting topics that we're amplifying from our columns this week, and you've got a pretty cool one about why all of our feds should keep an eye out for, I don't know, old dudes like me who might want to jump over to federal service. So yes. Tell me about that.
This article is about why I would like to work for the federal government 5 years before I actually retire. No, it's a really interesting article called The Case for a Late Stage Career Change into the Federal Government. So if you are a Fed who is currently working for the federal government, or you are a federal retiree, not directly applicable to you, but probably applicable to people that to your family. And we really had some interesting. This sort of stemmed from this OPM survey that we found out about that showed really high job satisfaction and engagement among federal employees. Not a surprise to us working with feds day in and day out. Most of our clients, talk with us about how they love their job. They love the purpose. Obviously everybody has bad days, but I think being able to lead a purpose-filled vocation, and this is something that Dan and I have talked about a lot, having a purpose-filled vocation enhances your quality of life so much. Cannot say that and stress that enough. And I think a lot of feds do find that in federal government service. This OPM survey interviewed over 625,000 federal employees and found that job satisfaction was actually at a 5-year high. The employee engagement score was 72% positive. Supervisor support, so specifically asking about what sort of support you're getting from your supervisor, 80% positive. So obviously there's some good things going on there. So lots of reasons why folks might consider a late stage career change into federal government service. One thing is job stability. Median tenure of a federal government employee is about 7.5 years versus in the private sector, we see about 3.7 years at each kind of job. Work-life balance as a Fed, there's often generous leave policies. There's telework options depending on the agency that you work for. And there's also some alternative work schedules. There can be some flexibility. Again, this depends heavily on the agency that you're with and the type of work that you're doing. But there is a lot of flexibility there, which I know is very attractive to folks. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but career fulfillment and being a public servant, right? Having the opportunity to serve the public, contribute to national interests, really make that community impact and feel that you're kind of connected to that greater purpose is huge. You can't put a number on that, but it's really important to quality of life, I think. And then financial incentives, right? We're obviously serving those who serve, financial planning and investment management firm. We do a lot of benefits, educational and federal benefits. So there are huge financial incentives and benefits when it comes to federal work. You've got a competitive salary, recruitment, retention, performance awards, federal retirement benefits. A lot of people get really, hype about being able to retire at 60 or 57, depending on, again, what sort of agency you're with, what sort of work you're doing. Access to a pension is a huge, huge piece of this because in the private sector, we have seen pensions all but go extinct. You can still find them from time to time, but they are few and far between. Whereas if you are a federal government employee, you have access to your FERS pension or, CSRS if you've been there for a while. FEHB, another huge benefit. And I would actually argue and have argued that this is the number one most valuable benefit for feds. Yes, above your FERS pension. I put it even above your FERS pension because the cost of private health care or private health insurance prior to Medicare age is massive. And FEHB helps you bridge the gap there, and it provides continuing, dual coverage under Medicare for the rest of your life. So, Couple of tips. If you know somebody who is interested in maybe working with the federal government, who has toyed with the idea, if you used to work for the federal government and then you got away, you got into private sector, some good reasons to come back if it's something that you're considering. So a couple of tips for landing a federal government job. USA Jobs, first and foremost, great, a resume builder, great place to search for positions. And then look, particularly if you are former military, look for special hiring authorities, because certain agencies will sort of give preference to folks who have a background there. Attend webinars and workshops. USA Jobs has some webinars and recruitment events that kind of connect folks with agencies and kind of help them navigate the process. Tune into the Fed15 podcast. Catch up with us. We talk a lot about different agencies that, are ranked best versus worst. We did an episode recently on what are the best federal agencies to work for. It was also based on federal employee survey data. So definitely something worth considering. If you are listening to this podcast, chances are you're probably Fed. If there's somebody in your family or friend group who you think could benefit from maybe considering a federal position, pass that article along to them, give them a little bit of inspiration, help them kind of figure out what direction they're going in. I think in particular, folks who are headed off to college or who are just out of college should really consider looking into a career in federal government.
Sure. Absolutely. And if you are a recruiter with OPM or Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board, and you're looking for a mature but energetic person to add to your team who has, decades of experience, but still has a forward-thinking point of view relative to tech and getting people's eyeballs on things, hit me up at dan.sipe@stwserve.com. My partner Tom won't like this, but I will take a leave of absence for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exact years. And
5 exact years.
I will kill it for you, folks. I will kill it for you. So,
5 continuous years. Referencing the requirement there, if you're not catching that, we're referencing the requirement for FEHB coverage. You need 5 continuous years of coverage prior to retirement to be able to carry your benefits.
But, what a 5 years it'll be.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Well, Dan,
just ask my wife. 5 years with me feels like 20. So you will get your money's worth for those 5 years.
Oh man. Got it. Well, Dan, you were going to talk to us about, obviously an article that we put out this week that is a little bit more. So this one obviously geared towards current feds. You're going to talk with us about annual leave and how all of that works.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves annual leave. And not everybody, has it right at their fingertips how the whole system works. So number one, when we amplify these, that means there's a great article that goes with us. So head over to STWServe.com in the blog section or FedZone, Fed-Zone.com. You can get there a lot of different ways. So Katelyn, just quick flyover. So annual leave accumulates based on your hours that you're working in a given year. There's kind of a 3-tiered structure to it based on how many years you have in. So if you're 3 years or less, you're getting 4 hours of leave that accumulates biweekly. If you're between 3 and 15 years, that jumps up to 6 hours. And if you're over 15 years, you're getting 8 hours per pay period, unless you are part-time. And then, shocker, the formula is similar, but reduced. So if you're under 3 years, you get 1 hour of annual leave for every 20 hours of work. Then 3 to 15 years, you get 1 hour for every 13 hours. See how the formula is improving. And at 15 years, you get 1 hour for every 10 hours worked. Head over to the website because we also have info in there on commanders of duty and temporary employees as well. So be sure to take some time to read that. Now, the part that everybody really loves talking about, which is using annual.
Oh, yeah.
So it's generally meant to cover pay time off for vacations, rest, personal matters, emergencies. And both the employee and the supervisor are responsible for tracking. So keep track of your stuff, folks, while you do it. Unlike sick leave, annual leave does have a carryover limit, and we'll get to that in a second. Okay. Kind of a cool thing. If you happen to be taking a block of annual leave and it's approved, but one of them falls on a non-work day, you're not going to burn leave that day. System's going to catch it and you will maintain your credit for that. So back to those carryovers. So federal employees within the U.S. Can carry over a maximum of 240 hours of annual leave from year to year. Everything after that becomes use or lose. Hit our website and in the search bar, put in sick leave and annual leave, because we have some great ideas for how you can boost that pension by a creative balancing of utilizing your use or lose annual leave and your sick leaves. That's sorry, Katelyn, I had to digress on that because I'm always so excited to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Employees outside the U.S. can carry over 360 hours, and SESers can carry over 720 hours. Above that, again, it becomes use or lose. Don't forget, head to our website or hit us up. We'll explain it to you at STWServe.com. So when we get to our last year of retirement, we saved up all this annual leave because we love our jobs and we like being there more than we like taking time off. So we've got this big chunk. Well, you can cash out up to 240 hours that you've carried over, but you can also cash out the ones that you accumulate during the year. So you can have a big chunk. You can have a total of 440 hours that you could have in that lump sum annual leave. And that's a powerful tool, Katelyn, as you know, when people are in that interim pension period. Mm-hmm. So it helps bridge those types of things. So this also contributes, which I'm sure is a surprise to you, Katelyn, as to why so many people retire at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So they get to that December, January timeframe and get that big payout. The annual leave is a great system. Be sure to head over to the website, read through it. The more you know, the better you're going to be able to use it. Don't forget, we've got that slick little magic trick in there about utilizing some use or lose leave in lieu of sick leave, and then having that sick leave there to boost the pension. So hit us up for that. So
absolutely,
that's
Dan.
what I
and
got.
I think in particular, one thing that you mentioned there, as far as, using that annual leave pension payout to boost the, to get you through that interim pension period. Another thing that we have seen very frequently recently, because we're in such a favorable tax environment in 2024 and 2025, a lot of times when our feds are retiring, they're at the top of their sort of pay grade, right? They're at the end of their career, the end of their federal government career, at least. So they've sort of worked their way up the pay scale. They're making a fair amount of money, especially if you've got a 2-income household. You could have a pretty high income. When you make the decision to retire, you're going to see a drop in that annual salary, going from annual salary to pension. And so a lot of times what we'll see is folks who are being mindful 5 years, 6 years out from retirement, they're using that leave mindfully to both boost their pension, but then also to have that kind of cash buffer where they can maybe look at doing something like a Roth conversion strategy when they see that income drop. And oftentimes the taxes on that Roth conversion can be paid from that liquid cash from the annual leave payout, or you can use the annual leave payout liquid cash to sort of supplement. If you retire at the end of the year, you get that annual leave payout. You can use that to supplement your income as opposed to pulling out of a taxable source like your traditional TSP or your traditional IRA. So that's a strategy that we see folks using a lot, again, particularly in this low tax bracket environment that we'll have through the end of 2025.
Great
so definitely second Dan on heading over to the website, taking a look at our article there. It's a really good one. So that is all the time I believe we have for today, folks. All the time we have and then some, but we will be back next week to bring you all the latest updates that you need to make informed decisions about your career and financial well-being as a Fed.
And be sure to hit that subscribe button, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, so you never miss an episode. And please remember to share it with your friends and colleagues.
Absolutely. Now, for more information on the topics covered in today's show and more, be sure to check out our blog at blog.stwserve.com. While you're there, you can subscribe to our newsletter, The Weekly Serving, to get all the latest news for Feds delivered straight to your inbox every week.
And do not forget about those live webinars. We are just always cranking them out for you every single week, pretty much. We've got some. So a couple to watch out for. Our ever popular tax webinar will be August 14th from 11 till 2. And our even more popular TSP webinar, people love talking about TSP, August 15th from 1 until 4. And if for some reason, because the Guru Red Zerndorf is amazing, Katelyn hosts, I host and try not to muck it up. If somehow you're looking for something more, reach out. Hit us up at stwserve.com. You can go to info@stwserve.com and let us know that you would like to talk to us one-on-one, and we are ever so happy to do that.
Absolutely. Well, folks, thank you so much for listening to the Fed15. I am Katelyn Murray.
And I'm Dan Sipe.
And we will see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Go Sam.
Yes, go Sam.